What is up, everybody? Hopefully, everyone is having a good weekend. This is episode 8, the Ocho, episode 8 of Bull Chat with Randy Paddock. So, hopefully, everyone's doing pretty well. We're broadcasting here out of Chi-Town, Illinois, Chicago, Illinois. It is December. What the hell day is it? The 2nd or 3rd. And it's like 50 degrees out and sunny. So, again, Chicago weather. You never know. That's pretty sweet. So, a few things I wanted to talk about today. So, one, something that's pretty sweet. Well, it's like bittersweet, right? So they got this new radio station. I don't know how new it is. In Chicago, 104.3 Jams with a Z. So you know it's good, right? But what it does is it plays all the throwback jams from back in the day. It's pretty good though. It's also commercial free. So I don't understand 100% how that works, like on terrestrial radio, but it's been something that I've been listening to a lot these last couple of days because it brings me back to high school, and that's what makes it like pretty funny. So when I'm talking throwback jams here, so it consists a lot of the heaviest hitters on there. You're gonna get a lot of Nelly, Country Grammar, all those hits are coming out. There's like a fuckload of Ja Rule and Murder Inc. Murder Inc. is going on. So a lot of those duets he did with the ladies that everyone loved back in the early 2000s. So there's a lot of that going on. They play TLC a lot of Creep, a lot of Don't Go Chasing Waterfalls. So got a lot of that going. The early 2000s R&B, that boner song, Baby When We're Grinding, I Get So Excited. That one plays a lot, and a bunch of Usher. So that's going on. Then they get into like some deeper throwbacks, which is good, like 90s shit. So you'll hear like old school Doggy Style, Snoop Doggy Dogg. You'll hear stuff off the Chronic. They played the Thuggish Ruggish Bone the other day, which for all that don't know, it's like Bone Thugs and Harmony when they were like more thugs and less harmony in the like 93 on Creeping on a Come Up album. That was their shit. It's got like the 90s West Coast like you know that beat if you know what's up. But that's great. That was awesome. They play some old Tupac, some old Biggie and things. So it's pretty good, but I found the Achilles heel, if you will, of that awesome thing, and that is that the quote unquote jams from those times, like the radio hits, if you will, there's only so many of them. So if you play 24/7 without commercials, there's so much fucking overlap that like I swear to Christ, if I hear TLC Creep one more time, I'm gonna kill myself. And I love that song. Okay? And so they play a lot of the same shit, like Ja Rule, like every 10 minutes, not every 10 minutes. So I feel what you do is you treat it as like a phenomenal treat or like a piece of pie, right? Where you can't eat it all day because you'll get a tummy ache and you'll want to fucking puke. But like a little bit each day is pretty sweet. So that's how I'm going to treat it. So if you live in the Chicago area, 104.3 Jams, like it will bring you back. And that's what I like a lot about it. The sensory of the brain. So some songs will pop off and I know exactly where I was. Like Nelly, It's Hot in Her is going off and I go right back to being blackout drunk in Cancun on senior trip in '02, like being a fucking psycho. I hear like Ja Rule, I'm Real with J Lo or H to the Izzo, B to the Izzy, like old whatchamacall, Jay-Z, and I go back to Dorsey's basement, like shooting caps, underage drinking, and it's fucking awesome. So, especially if you're around my age, like throw that shit on and enjoy. But don't listen to it for a very long period of time because you will want to throw up, much like eating cake all day or pie. So, that was pretty cool. Last night, they also, too, had UFC 218 was on, so I figured I'd touch on that before I get into it a little bit, just because yeah, it was all right. Not as good as the last card, but that one's going to be tough to beat. But they had some good fights and some crazy shit happened. So just on the prelims, I didn't catch them all, but Felice Herring won, so that's always good. Local girl out of Crystal Lake, Kearns Gym up in Crystal Lake, so that's awesome. There was a fun part, too, is like, and it was funny because it's like on FS1, but at some point in the third round, they just, the girl she was fighting gave her the Italian fuck you. She gave her one of these. Then they just stood there, and then they flipped each other off and like yelling "fuck you" at each other, and then didn't change their fighting at all. It was a pretty awesome fight. They just, or not awesome. I mean, it was very. They stayed in the same like 10 feet and just would go in, box a little, pop out, and go and box a little bit, and pop out, and go and box a little bit, and pop out. But it was good to see Felice win, and obviously should be putting together that 115's kind of very open right now. So it'll be cool seeing a bunch of the ladies get in there. And then the Oliveira, which is the Brazilian cowboy, him and the Medeiros, Yancey out of Medeiros, I believe is how you say his name. That fight was fucking awesome. So all that was a couple of dudes. So, I mean, you got it right. You got a Brazilian guy and cowboy, and you got a Hawaiian guy with Yancey. And those Hawaiians, man, those guys are awesome. Like, all they do is scrap. So they just stood around and they just beat the shit out of each other. But the thing that was awesome is they did it with a smile. Like, they had a great attitude, and they had a lot of respect. And it's really what the sport's about, and what, people like the violence and like whatever. But at the end of the day, it is a sport. And it's two people going in, essentially getting locked in a cage and fighting, which is one of the scarier things. Like, violence, like, yeah, it's cool, it's fucking scary. Like, violence is a scary thing, and these people are voluntarily choosing to go in a cage and commit violence with one another. So it's always refreshing to see people committing massive amounts of violence. And then every round they came out and they hugged each other and just showed so much respect. And they did it with smiles on their face and a great attitude. So that was an awesome fight. And then in terms of like the main card was actually, it was pretty good. So with Torres versus the Karate Hottie. So Tecia Torres, like, she looks pretty tough, man. Like, she's, for 115, she's like stacked. Like, she's like a brick shit house, man. And she can like manhandle. Her striking's on point. Like, the only problem is she doesn't really have an elevated jiu-jitsu game. And, you got Thug Rose as the fucking champ. And Thug Rose is jiu-jitsu is sick. So, if you're going to get to that level of a title fight and fighting the new champ, like, she should definitely work on that. But she looked pretty fucking scary and in awesome shape. And then, like, there was the Eddie Alvarez fight with Justin Gaethje. And, like, I didn't understand that fight. So, again, too, I don't understand math and I don't understand odds all that much. And, like, when I, like, do sports bets, I don't really do odds or anything like that. I pick spreads or, like, some bullshit stuff, whatever. Or, like, I don't know, betting odds. I don't understand them that much. But Eddie Alvarez was the underdog. And that I didn't quite understand because he's former champ, Strikeforce champ, I believe former UFC champ, and Justin Gaethje like has had one fight in the UFC, so I didn't understand how like Eddie Alvarez was the and he's like beat some champions and beat the shit out of people, so I didn't really understand how he was, the underdog there. But it was funny, there was like some pre-fight like shit talking going on about who's going to get the title of the most violent man in the UFC, and that fight, it held up pretty well. I mean, those guys went to war. I mean, Alvarez was getting the shit kicked out of his leg, but he was just throwing these combos, and Gaethje just kept coming forward, and it was a great fight, man. And they just sat there and they beat the shit out of each other, man. And they fought and they went to war and they gave the people what they wanted. And Eddie Alvarez, man, just ended with a clean knee right up the middle of his face and put him out. So it was good. I mean, he'll be up there. I don't know what Conor McGregor, what he's doing. I mean, obviously, he's got to fight Tony Ferguson, you would think, or vacate. I like that shit talking to Tony Ferguson's calling him out, calls him McNuggets, which I think is awesome. McNuggets, defend or vacate. So that 155 weight class, she has some interesting stuff coming on. And then there was the Overeem Ngannou fight. So this was fucking awesome. So if you haven't seen it or heard about it, you definitely haven't been online or you don't follow the kind of shit I follow on social media, but you should YouTube this shit because it's sweet. Any heavyweight fight, I think, is always awesome because usually someone's getting knocked dead. Like someone's getting put to sleep. It's big-ass people throwing big-ass bombs and dropping them on each other. So this was the same exact way, especially with Ngannou. Like he just, I think it was at the UFC facility or something, like recorded like the strongest or hardest punch known to human beings ever. So he was fighting Alistair Overeem, who like Joe Rogan on his podcast was just going over. Sorry, Leroy's like doing weird shit. Was just going over like his record. And like kickboxing and MMA total, he said he had like 14 stoppage losses, and I think a majority of those were getting KO'd. So like getting knocked out or TKO'd. So like if I'm that guy that's got knocked out a bunch or TKO'd a bunch, and I'm just hearing that this guy just set the record for the strongest punch ever recorded by humans, like I would probably be shitting my pants a little bit just because that's scary. And that's exactly what happened. So they were boxing, doing their thing, and then like he threw this like left hook right on his chin, and holy shit, like he knocked him dead. It looked, I don't know if he got off the ground at all, like looked his head. It looked exactly like when fucking Debo knocked out homie looking for his bike. He was like, come on. And Friday, if you know what I'm talking about, he's like, come on. Like, it's like our bike. We just keep it down in my, he's like, sorry, I didn't know you wanted your bike back home. It's like our bike. We'll share it. We just keep it down in my place. And then he spins around, uppercuts, and he goes flying in the air, lands on the ground, slowly goes out. You got knocked the fuck out! That happened. Like, it looked, like his head just went, oof, and just like, arr. It was, wow, man. And then he was like knocked the shit dead, and he was out for a little while, like with his toes like curled. Like it was pretty wild. And that, obviously it's a little scary seeing a human being like get knocked dead like that, but like holy shit. Like that was scary. And that guy, he's got Stipe coming up next, has to. That'll be a fight, just a clash of men, and I can't wait to watch it because someone's gonna die, I would assume. And then it was Holloway Aldo too, and fact of the matter, man, is Max Holloway is just on a different level, man. Like watching him fight is awesome. Again, he's got that Hawaiian scrappiness in him, so he don't give a shit about just standing there slugging it out. But he's smart, like he's cerebral, man. He's very smart, and he knows what's going on with his opponents and what he can do with them. And then now he's just confident as fuck. So you put all that together, it's nasty, man. Like I don't know who's gonna touch him at that 145. Like he makes Aldo. I mean, and Aldo's probably not the Aldo he once was, but he's still game, man. And that's twice in the third round. Like he made that boy look like not a guy that didn't lose for 10 years. And I'm talking like beat the brakes off him. And he called all the guys cupcakes. I like that too. I like this shit talking when they're calling people food. When Tony Ferguson's calling Conor McGregor McNuggets, and when Max Holloway's calling these guys cupcakes, says he wants to eat the cupcakes. That's awesome. But so I'm guessing I can't see him not being the champ for a while. I mean, he's fun to watch as well, and he talks shit like in the middle, but he doesn't like overdo it. I don't know. It's a good mix. But so that was UFC 218, and there's probably like a UFC next week because those guys have so much fucking content now that something comes out every week. So I'm sure we'll talk about it next week too. But what I really want to get into today is like, you're going to have to follow me a little bit. I might go a little kind of all over the place. I have notes written down like I always do with bullet points. So I try to make it come all together. So hopefully, and guys, let me know if this shit doesn't flow well. I try to make it flow well with my notes and where I'm going. So if it does, great. That's the point. If it doesn't, let me know. Again, you can always hit me up with an email, bullchatpod@gmail.com. Hit me up on my social media. It's Randy J. Paddock on Instagram, Randy Paddock on Facebook, R. Paddock on Snapchat. Follow me, hit me up. And obviously, this is week 2. I'm trying YouTube, which is kind of fun now because now I have to actually like have a shirt on or clothes on when I do it. This shirt's pretty sweet. This is a rabbit with a human foot around his neck, turning the tables, right? But go to the YouTube channel as well. It's Bullchat Pod at YouTube, and I don't know how fucking YouTube works. So if anyone else knows how to do that as well, let me know. So that way we can make the channel better. So like put some comments, like stuff, subscribe to the channel. It's free, so why the fuck not? And then you get to see my ugly mug and Leroy making his cameos every week. My boy Robbie Shortdick made a pretty sweet logo, so we got that going. So things are growing. So tell everybody, let's grow this shit. And why? Because we're going to talk about important things like today. And I'm going to talk a little bit about, like, what the fuck, I guess is going to be what I'm talking about today. But I noticed something, and maybe I'm just getting old, and I'm not hip, or I don't know what's up with technology. But, like, what the fuck is with people that FaceTime and drive? Like, that's a thing. And I don't know, and if you do this, sorry. but like you're kind of a dick. And if you've seen this and it bothers you, then that's probably normal. I would feel. I don't know, but like people drive and so like they have their phones up and they're FaceTiming people. Like that just doesn't seem that safe to me. Is like I'm sitting there having a FaceTime talk with someone. Like is shit that important? Where like I'm FaceTiming someone right now, not paying attention to the actual human beings on the road that can actually alter someone's life if I were to hit them or crash into their car or anything. Like it's crazy. It really got me thinking about like, kind of if you want to hear about my thoughts on technology, check out episode 7, Judgment Day. I get more into technology, but I was thinking like about before like all these cell phones and all that stuff. Like, what were we doing? Because I look at it now, like FaceTiming while driving, right? Nuts. People like I can't go any like. What were we doing when we didn't have all these cell phones or FaceTime and stuff? Like actually just paying attention to shit, like enjoying the drive, being alert, maybe listening to music or just maybe in silence thinking or doing that. Like, when the fuck did everyone become so important? You know what I'm saying? It's like we're all so goddamn important now that we can't go from work to home and then call someone that we have to be FaceTiming them right then. Like we're living in this goddamn alternate reality that isn't reality. That's all in the fucking internet, right? Like I live in Chicago, all right? If you don't know, and I live in a nice neighborhood, so it's not, I don't feel threatened on the regular, but that doesn't mean that threats aren't out there. And it's crazy to me that everyone walks around, they got their phone in their hand, and they walk around like this, looking down. Everybody's looking down, walking in the streets, just walking around looking down. So let me paint the picture for you. In society, in Chicago, when I'm observing things, and this happens everywhere on the planet, not just Chicago, everyone, like, there's a bunch of people driving that are texting or fucking around on social media, or now they're FaceTiming, actually talking to someone, which means they're like this, so they're half-assing looking at the street and what's going on, and they're more FaceTiming with their boo or whoever the fuck they're talking to, and they're walking in the streets looking down. And people wonder why shit happens. The reason why shit happens is no one's fucking paying attention to anything, man. Like, yeah, no wonder someone like got the jump on you. You're not ready. And I'm not trying to be like doom and gloom and like look everyone and suspect everyone's a threat. But Dalton, and if you don't know who Dalton is, that's Patrick Swayze in Roadhouse. He has a great quote that I'm gonna fuck up right here, but he says some shit like the people expecting trouble are always the ones that like don't find it or are ready for it or something. Essentially saying like if you stay ready, you never have to get ready. And especially like I see some of these like women walking around and it's at night in the city, like looking down on things. Like I would be paying attention. That's just me. 'Cause me as a guy who could handle himself, like I pay attention, right? Like just to what's going on. I think that's like a normal thing. I pay attention when I'm driving because I don't want to fuck up my car. I don't want to get a ticket. And more importantly, I do not want to hit anybody or anything, right? I think that's not that much of an ask. You know what I mean? And it gets people just like not living in the moment, and then it creates like this victim mentality. But more importantly, what it creates, I think, is like an excuse mentality that goes into a lying mentality, right? So like, let's say I'm FaceTiming with somebody and I hit somebody or something. Do you think I'm gonna tell the police or whoever's about to hold me accountable that I was fucking FaceTiming? Nah, I'm gonna make up some bullshit. So again, I'm creating a habit of lying, right? If I'm like walking and someone gets a jump on me in the street or takes something from me, or I walk into somebody and create a problem or something, am I gonna blame it on, oh, I was looking at my fucking Instagram likes? No, I'm gonna probably make up this city's unsafe or this person had it out for me or woe is me, right? I think that these things are attached, and what it creates is like a bystander society, right? And what a bystander society means is like everyone's a bystander, so watching, expecting everybody else to do something. There's something crazy out there. It's called, I think it's literally called like the bystander effect. What the bystander effect means is, I don't know if this was like a real case that happened or a story, but I think it's off of real events because I just saw like a rerun of Law and Order SVU, and like the same shit happened, and I believe the episode was called Bystander. But there was like this person, and I forgot where they were at or whatever had happened, but they got like stabbed or like injured in some way, in like a pretty visible place where there was a lot of like witnesses and things, and no one did anything, and this person died. And again, I'm fairly certain this is a true thing, or maybe it's just a fable with a good point. Either way, I get the point. It makes sense. And why this happened, why this person didn't make it and died, was because no one called for help. No one called 911 for like an ambulance or police or anything, because they thought everybody else or somebody else would do it. Right? So that's, I think, what this not paying attention, living in my social webs thing is doing, is creating that bystander society that everybody is expecting everybody else to do something. Right? So I don't have to pay attention. I could FaceTime with my boo and talk about all the fun shit we're going to do tonight when I get home, driving without caring the world, not looking, because everybody else, of course, is going to be paying attention. And if I fuck off and go in their lane, or if someone's walking, of course they're going to pay attention. I'm not going to hit them, right? And then boom, you fucking kill somebody. Right? Or if I'm walking around looking down on my phone, this and this, of course nobody's going to fuck with me. Or of course I'm not going to walk into anybody, or maybe walk into a street. Yeah, and there you go. That's when the worlds collide, right? You got asshole looking down on their fucking Twitter feed, walking in the street with asshole that's FaceTiming with his fucking girlfriend, and then bam, dead. Like, that's not like an unrealistic thing. So it's creating this like bystander, and where everyone, and so I guess I'll get back in that bystander thing in a little bit, but like, it's also creating, there's Leroy. See, he made an appearance. This is what you get if you subscribe to YouTube, right? You get a good look at the boy. You get a good look at the boy, right? But, and if you're listening to podcasts, thank you very much. Listen and go on YouTube. But, so now everyone's also living in like through their phones, and it's crazy, right? So like, now it's, again, I can't even pay attention to driving in the real life thing. And I think driving can also be like, for me at least, it's relaxing sometimes, getting in a drive and being able to clear my mind. But now I can't focus on that. I'm focusing on watching a video or FaceTime, right? Or I'm not paying attention to this awesome world I'm living in. Guys, like, the fucking world is awesome. And especially in Chicago, like, I walk the streets fairly often for zero reason. And not because I'm a weirdo, so fuck off if that's what you're thinking. But I like to walk around, you know what I mean? Like, I like to walk for exercise purposes. I also like to walk just because it's a cool city, and I like to breathe in fresh air and kind of look at what's going on and appreciate things being built, and appreciate, like, you know, people having businesses, and the different things that are out there, and the different cultures and different types of people out there. And so, like, we're eliminating that by looking at our phone the whole time. So we're living in something that doesn't even exist. Here's like crazy shit. Now, I don't know. I like to go to concerts, you know, and I think a lot of people do, because, you know, music's pretty sweet. Now at concerts, this is all you see. You see people holding up and videotaping the concert. So they're not even like living in the concert, like enjoying the experience. And that's part of the experience, is fucking being there. Right? And the majority of the people that are doing that filming and living through their phone, they don't use that content for anything else. You know what I mean? Like, they don't like rewatch it, or they don't, like, you know, post it on anything, or wherever the fuck you would do with it. So it's like a wasted experience that you had when you could have been really living in it and enjoying it and taking that fucking mental video, rather than that shit that's just taking up storage on your phone you're not going to see again. Like, you'll see it at fucking, like, it's the funniest on 4th of July, like, fireworks, right? And that's, like, really a time, I don't know, I get a little sentimental during 4th of July fireworks. Maybe I'm a little sappy, I don't know, but it kind of it reminds me about America and, like, opportunities we have and shit that we have. So I really enjoy, and it's 4th of July, so I'm usually a little drunk too, so that probably helps, you know, bringing out some of that sap. But fucking, like, it's like a moment to me, and I really enjoy it, you know, and I'm usually around buddies, you know, and you go arm in arm with your boy, or if you got like kids, you know, they're holding kids, or a wife, or husband, or whatever. And then you got those fucking people that are like, oh my God, and like narrating it. How many times you watching the 4th of July fireworks recap on your phone, right? Just live in the fucking moment. Like, that's what like, people need to live more, man. Like, just, and it goes back to my previous rants, and maybe I rant about this stuff too much on the podcast or whatever, but I'm like very passionate about, like, we're getting fucking weird, man. I went to school for sociology, right? And granted, I went for 7 years for a 4-year degree, so I probably know more than a lot of people. That's a fucking joke. I was just an idiot and fucked off in school. But I'm like, I'm very fascinated with like, why aren't we living more? You know, that's why I'm like, what is the fuck is up with this Netflix binge watching, or everyone living through their phone, or or trolls like on social media, and on social media talk, because like, I don't know, man. So now when there's like actual human interactions, everything's so fucking strange because people do not know how to communicate, right? Like there's all this shit. Matt Lauer's just the last guy that got canned for being a fucking creep. So like there's all these people like that are like sexual harassment, sexual assault, like all these things. Yeah, no shit. It's not just those people, it's everywhere. Why? Because both men and women do not know how to communicate with the opposite sex. So what they do, they have this unrealistic mind because they can go like on like a date, and I'm on all of them. I'm available, ladies. I'm looking. Get me off them, right? So I use these things, and like you don't have to be you. I'll catch myself falling in the trap too, like kind of reverting to whatever. Like, so people are fake on their thing, so they're either trying to like swindle each other by telling people what they want to hear, right? They're fucking catfishing people, so just straight up lying, right? Or they're like saying some shit that there's no fucking way that they would say to somebody if they were like in an actual like human interaction out in the world, be it at a bar, be it at a grocery store, be it at a fucking coffee spot, like dirty shit or raunchy shit or just fucking aggressive shit. And then sometimes like people, since it's not, you know, real, like it's okay. Like people have those kind of those fantasies and like those parts of their brain, and it might turn them on, right? There was that whole goddamn 50 Shades of Grey phenomenon. So people like that shit. And I'm not saying it has to go as far as like BDSM, and I'm also not saying there's anything wrong with that. However you get your jollies, get your fucking jollies, right? But some people might not know, or they might just be kind of playing into a fantasy. And then sometimes when that fantasy, like when those people that play into that a lot, maybe they meet up with those people and it's a good thing, but maybe they don't. But then they have that thought that, oh yeah, that's what the chicks want, right? And then they act that out on the random weird chances that they do go on in the real world, and that's how like these violent, disgusting sexual crimes I think are on the rise. Is that everyone's so fucking weird and they're not socialized and they don't know how to interact with people. So I'm like a firm believer in interaction. So like I said, if you're gonna binge watch that, school, limit yourself to 2 episodes and do it at night. Like don't waste a whole fucking day doing it, and then get out and live, man. Like do some shit. So like I like fitness. I like staying in shape. I think everybody should at some sort of level. Like you don't have to go to the gym every day. You don't have to do whatever, but like do something. And I like things with communities, right? So I'm a big fan of like classes, you know, and oh, I don't have any money. Well, then you do have money. Like, yeah, shit costs money, but it's your fucking health. So what else would you spend money on? Before you bitch about how much it might be to join a certain gym or take a certain class, look at your spending habits and see what bullshit you'll fucking spend money on that's killing you or not good for you. Like some of the food we're eating or going out. Check out some of your bar tabs. That was a waker up for me. I would look at bar tabs when I paid them and I was like, yeah, right? So why not, if you're going to spend that money anyways, why not invest in yourself? So I like classes, communities. So obviously I do Redsvik Jiu-Jitsu, fucking awesome community there, Jiu-Jitsu, and it's great people. So I like that, right? I like yoga classes. I like hot yoga classes. I think yoga's fucking awesome. And if you're like a dude like pussy, I don't know, try it, man. Fucking, I think it's sweet. It's controlling yourself, you're breathing, and if you're doing the movements hard, like putting 110 in, like it's a good workout, right? Especially that hot yoga because it's fucking you can't breathe, right? But that community's good. Like I've never done CrossFit, but like I dig it. Like I think that's a cool thing. If you want to go to like a powerlifting gym, there's big community there. I think that's fucking awesome. There's options everywhere, especially if you live around Chicago, like anywhere. Just do some research and look, right? Maybe it's a group like a walking group or like a Sunday jogging group or whatever. But I think that's like a good thing. The bottom line is go outside. Like it's fucking, like I said, it's December, early December, 50 degrees in Chicago, and I guarantee a shit ton of people that live in here won't go outside today, right? Won't go do anything. Well, what's the excuse? Fucking Bears around. They're playing the 49ers, right? If we'll probably lose. If we lose the 49ers, they should shut down Soldier Field and take a piss on it, right? It's worthless, right? So, but if that's your thing, great. Walk to the bar today and then walk home. There's your outside stuff. Or go to a bar. Don't watch at your house and interact with other psychopath Bears fans and talk shit about how much we suck, right? Whatever. But like, you got to go out, you got to do something. And it kind of lives back to that bystander society of creating like everyone, it's funny, everyone's so fucking worried about what everybody else is doing, right? You might be one of these people. Why? Because almost everybody is, right? Or you definitely, if you're not, and you have a friend that's like that, it's just everyone's so worried about what everyone else is doing and up in everyone's shit that they're not living their lives, right? It's a bystander, right? We're like voyeurs, we're like watching people, and we have great fucking advice on how people should be living, right? We'll tell people, girl, you need to ditch that boyfriend, or hey, your girl's a bitch, or hey, you shouldn't eat that, or hey, you should eat that. So we're all pointing out and telling people what they do, what they should do, and we're not doing shit ourselves. We're fucking bystanders expecting other people to do shit, and it's okay if we don't do it. Fuck that. That ain't okay, right? So it's like people, I think it correlates and goes into, so everyone's expecting everyone's going to do something else, like, oh, you'll do it, so then I'll just kind of go on your coattails or go along, or like, I live with a roommate, the dishes are dirty, my roommate will do it, and then next thing you know, your house smells like shit, right? So it leads into people want stuff, but they don't want to do the work. And I hear this a lot, right? Like I follow a lot of like inspirational guys, entrepreneurs, because that's what I do. I'm an entrepreneur by nature. I'm in business and growing business. And I'm also, it's fun for me. I'm learning how to try to grow this podcast and make it a big thing. So I appreciate everyone listening to this right now and all the help. But like, it's always talking about the grind and this and that. It's common things. And that's fucking true, right? Like you do have to put in work for anything, right? I'm a believer, The Secret, call it cheesy, call it not. I think it's true. I think that thoughts determine results and actions. You can make thoughts a reality, and if you put things out there, things will happen. I do believe in that, but also it's two-part. You do have to put things out there, but then you have to have the actions and do the work that drive those things. So you're not just going to get it because I think about like, I want to be successful, and then, hey, guess what I accomplished? I binged The Punisher whole thing. Yeah, you didn't get successful that day. You fucking died a little inside, right? So you do have to do the work, and so I think that people get like these millennials. I'm not even sure. Like, I don't know how things work. Like, I don't know what generation I'm in. I don't know what they're called. I know I like the documentary Generation Iron, so that's pretty sweet. But like, I think the millennials get a bad rap because they're not the only people that are doing this. This is an epidemic of people expecting shit without doing the work that is as old as man, right? There's always been like leeches on society or on groups or on like tribes from probably back in the caveman days, right? There's always that one dude that's probably, yeah, this guy will go kill this shit, and then I'll be like, fuck yeah, like sneak in behind, like we did it, and eat and enjoy the spoils, right? So especially like in my job, like we interview people all the time and looking for candidates, and I've been interviewing people and working with people, in business for 7 years now, and it's not just the millennials that are expecting things. Like I run into people that are 40, 50 years old that have a woe is me story that are expecting to get shit that when they haven't done the work. So that doesn't matter how old you are, and that's not just a thing. So sometimes I think we need to lay off these millennials because we all have that shit in us. It's a part of human nature. If you're not keeping that shit in check, so like it will manifest throughout time, and that's what I'm talking about. It all tied together. Like if you're like always expecting other people to do things, you're a bystander, you're not paying attention, you're not ready, you're not doing these things, this is going to manifest more. And that's the people that make excuses their whole lives why they're not where they're at, because it's someone else's fault. I didn't get this job because this person didn't like me. I didn't play in the game because my coach didn't like me. Hey, P.S., that's the stupidest fucking thing on the planet, because if a coach doesn't like you, it doesn't matter. Coaches like winning. So if you're the best, you're going to fucking play. You're just not that good. Okay? And so then it's people have these lives that they're essentially not in control of, because the whole time they're worried, they're expecting them to get something. And this is going to go into my point, and I learned this lesson early, and I'm going to talk a little bit about participation trophies. What the fuck is that? That's like a thing, and I don't know how long it's been around, but it's been around for a while. I learned through Little League. Like I'm going to use Little League as an example, because back when I was in Little League, when I was like, we started T-ball instruction league when you're like 7, but I got a big gist of it when I was like, I don't know, like 9 to 11, probably what it was in Mustang Little League. It was on a team called the Reds. Shout out Reds Dynasty, right? We call it a dynasty. Uh, Billy Bag of Donuts, aka Jimmy Shitface, he was a buddy of mine on my team. Um, Boogs, who I've shouted out here a couple of times, was on that team. My buddy Carlson was on that team. Ty Widener was on that team. My buddy Duff, West. We had like a stacked team. We called it a dynasty because as a Little League, like we were the team that could not be fucked with, and it went for multiple years, right? So it was like the guys ahead of me, like the kids that were a little ahead of me. It was the kids that were my age, and it was the kids after me. Like we beat the fuck out of everybody for a bunch of years. Like count that shit, right? And why do I remember that the most is because we won everything, and the people that didn't, like maybe the second place people got something, but other than that, you didn't get a trophy, like for showing up. Like you lost, motherfucker. And as a kid, that winning or losing really shaped my outlook on things, and that's, I think it was a good setup, and they were doing us a good service by teaching us that, because that is the world. Right. And I think these days it's like, oh, you showed up and you tried. Here you go. It's extremely unrealistic, especially if we're trying to prepare kids that do sports, for school. And then real world is like, I wish there was a participation trophy for high school. I mean, granted, I didn't participate that much. Like I didn't show up a lot. But like if I got some points, if I did, maybe I would have gotten to fucking college off the bat. But unfortunately, Randy, that didn't happen. I was a dickhead senior with 8 fucking classes, and I had freshman math, algebra 1 first hour, and I had sophomore math where Mike Lindsay and Haney did all my homework 8th hour, right? Like I didn't get a participation trophy. I had to put in the fucking work. Otherwise, I wasn't going to graduate. And I didn't get any college, right? So I had to go to junior college, and I had to put in work to be able to transfer, so like all this stuff, like, and then when I wasn't handed jobs or given things, that's why when I found my career path that was merit-based, I was like, fuck yeah, because I've been preparing my whole life, and it all started with the Reds Dynasty and Little League. So let me talk to you a little bit about Little League. So it was awesome. So like our Little League, there was in Wakanda, there was a couple different parks that you played at. So that they had like the kickoff parade, right, every year, and that floated down Main Street. Like, so you had one end of Main Street, at the stoplight of Main Street and the 17 and 176, that's one end, and then it goes all the way down by Twigs. Go ahead and listen to episode 1 where I discuss the Main Street Death March in a drinking context, and you will get the layout of the road I'm speaking of. But anyhow, almost to Twigs, past like all the bars and stuff, right across the street from the high school, there's this place, Cook's Park, and that's like opening day of Wakanda Little League Baseball went down. We always did a parade, right? So the parade was whoever's dad had something that could pull kids, that's what you got. And my buddy Cholo, and you'll know about Cholo from episode 1 and how I got the name Bullchat, his dad Boone, I remember he pulled us around on the Reds Dynasty one year. I'm pretty sure, and I don't want to be racist because Boone is of Mexican descent, but I'm pretty sure it was like a lawnmower and riding tractor he pulled us in one time in the parade. And you could check me on that. And whoever was there, remember, I know, like, so Cholo was there, Carlson was for sure there. I forgot what other one of our buddies were on the Reds Dynasty that first year I was on it, but Bugs was on it for sure. If you guys remember, hit me up and let me know. But like that's what you did. Some of the other people, if they had like a, maybe he did it, maybe he pulled us, it wasn't a tractor, maybe it was like, I think he had an Amigo. And this is sounding very racist. It's not though. But I'm pretty sure he had that car, and it was like a little like tracker, and maybe that's what pulled us. But I'm fairly certain Boone pulled us one year. But anyhow, so you would do the big down Main Street, the parade, and everyone would have their shit on, and you would hold your sign that said your team and who was your sponsor. I fucking forgot. If anyone knows the Red Dynasty sponsors from back in there, happen to have their jerseys, let me know because that's gonna mess with my brain. I don't remember who sponsored us, but. If you had like Pizza Sam's or Twigs as a sponsor, I remember the Twins. J. Rowe was on the Twins, and they for sure had like JJ Twigs as a sponsor. Those were like the money sponsors because after the fact, you go to the pizza place and you had a pizza party. I don't think we had. I don't remember what our sponsor was, but anyway. So you did that, and then you had opening day, right? So we had Cook's Park, we had Pizza Park, which was behind Pizza Sam's, which I'll get into another time, and then we had Lagoon, and that was on. That was in Larkdale, so it was in like this neighborhood in town. And so those were our different parks. That's where we played baseball. But like I remember like our coaches, like when we were little in the Reds Dynasty, they demanded excellence and they were hard on us, right? And like it wasn't like a weird thing. And like I know times have changed a little bit, but like parents were helping out, parents were showing up, and parents were fucking yelling at you, right? Like even as a kid, like get this kid out. Like, and I don't know if this is a good or bad thing, but like it was planting these seeds of performance, right? Like you have to perform to get your spot, right? I remember me and Cholo like played the same position, right? Like, and then Carlson and I might have played. I think we both played catcher or whatever, and then when we moved up, like Boogs played catcher too. Like we all play the same position, so like we had to like compete with each other and do things, and that's what it's about. And the parents gave a shit. So there's good parenting, but they also were holding you accountable. The coaches were holding you accountable, and we played to win. Our goal was to get to the championship and win every year, right? And as kids, and I was excited to go to practice every day. And I remember fucking one day, you guys remember this one, the Reds Dynasty? It was Medardo and Tony. Remember that? We were practicing. Oh, this was at Island Lake Park. We were practicing. This had to be the Reds. I hope I'm not getting into Bronco League Rockies, but this had to be the Reds Dynasty. Again, hit me up if you're on the Dynasty and you don't remember. But I remember we were practicing that one Saturday, and we were like doing like hitting drills, and Tony hit like a single. Medardo's playing first, didn't get his stretch out too much, and like Tony must have been running like with his teeth out. I know you can't see my sweet ass stash, and he fucking sunk his teeth into Medardo's forehead. Like they collided, his teeth went in his head and like cut his head open, and then they had to call practice. That was Reds Dynasty, had to be. So like I was excited always to go to practice and to play and to win. And when we lost, like we felt it. And I think that's an important thing too, is that in anything, if it's sports, if it's business, if it's life, you're going to lose things. Right? You're going to lose a job maybe. You're going to lose an opportunity. You're going to lose a game. You're going to lose a girlfriend. You're going to lose someone you love. You're going to lose maybe a house. Who knows? You're going to lose stuff. So like how you bounce back from a loss is an extremely important part of the human experience and what we're being. So like if you're told it's okay that you just showed up and that you're never going to lose and everything's going to be all right and you're very special, when that shit hits you, which it will, you are completely fucked. Okay? And you're not going to be able to bounce back. Mike Tyson says it best, man. Everyone has a plan until they get punched in the mouth. And in life and in business and in anything, you're going to get punched in the mouth a lot, and it's how you keep coming back. So I'm so thankful that the Reds Dynasty, why we were so fucking dominant, I don't know, we were a bunch of kids that we were all buddies, we fucked around and had fun. And we wanted to win. Why do we want to win? Because we didn't like to lose. It's not a good feeling. I always felt I was like letting my dad down if I didn't play well. And again, I don't know if this is good psychologically or not. And in pussies this day and age, they're probably like, it's not. You have to get kids' psyches. But I don't fucking know. There's way less weirdos not like from my age group than are now. Right? I think. I don't know. And maybe I'm full of shit. But like, it goes back to these participation trophies, guys. It's teaching people that showing up is enough. And showing up is not enough. In anything, right? If I go to work, showing up is not enough. If I go to work, I need to fucking kick ass, right? And whatever. I don't give a shit. If you're growing business, running a business, you need to kick ass. If you're fucking mopping floors, you need to kick ass. If you're like my sister who works with kids, you need to kick ass at being great with those kids and molding those fucking minds. If you're a teacher, kick ass, right? If you're working pumping gas, kick ass. Doesn't matter. Showing up ain't enough. Kick ass. Create that habit of doing shit, right? If you're a parent, I am not. But I know a lot of shitty parents. I know a lot of great parents. And the thing that parents have in common is they all show up. The thing that great parents have is they kick ass. They're present. They're involved. They give a fuck, right? It's not just, I'm there. Right? It ain't enough. If you're in relationships, again, I'm not. Ladies, again, get me off this shit. Hit me up. But for real, showing up just ain't enough. You got to kick ass at it. I'm a brother. I'm a son. That's not going to change. That's me showing up. I got to kick ass at it. I got to kick ass at being a great fucking uncle. I got to kick ass at everything, guys. That's what you got to do. So fuck a participation trophy. Don't give people shit for just showing up. You can say, hey, thanks for coming. Good job, creating that habit of coming, but now we put in the work. And the Reds Dynasty and my coaches from back in the day installed that in my head. And I'll remember it forever. And every motherfucker that was on the Reds Dynasty will remember that forever. Why? Because we're old and we still talk about it. Me and Ops will talk about the Reds Dynasty all the time. I don't see Carlson that much. When I do, Reds Dynasty. Boogs, I guarantee, still has, and Widener, I guarantee those are the type of guys that probably still have like their Reds Dynasty jerseys. And I guarantee we all take shit we learned from that. Winning, doing work, competition, fun, and we apply it to our lives. So if you're in charge of a league or something, do not give a fucking participation trophy. If at a business, there should be like, hey, you showed up today. Hey, good job. Don't let people just participate, right? Conor McGregor says it best. He has that fucking slogan, man. It's, we're not here to take part, we're here to take over. Don't just take part, take over. Don't participate. Fuck participation trophies. Get the real deal. Win. Feel that. Feel the of winning. And also feel the pain of losing, because that will help you learn. It will help you grow. And that's what we got to do. So, Reds Dynasty, man. Little League Baseball. Helped a lot. It was awesome. Good fucking shit. So, that's all I got today, guys. So remember, support the podcast. Let's grow this bitch. Share it. Tell your friends. So I got it getting approved for iTunes, so it'll be on there soon. I don't know how that works. Other than that, the YouTube channel, so Bull Chat Pod on YouTube. Subscribe to it. Like things. Watch it. Share it. Follow me on social media. We'll grow that as well. So Randy J. Paddock on Instagram. At Randy Paddock on Twitter. Still don't know what the fuck I'm doing on that. Randy Paddock on Facebook. And then hit me up, guys, if you have any stories you want to tell me about. Boogs has some good stuff that he hits me up with that I'm going to talk about. So it's coming, buddy. So hit me up if you got stories. If you want to give any feedback, positive or negative. Again, I'm open to like having guests. I just don't know how to do it. If we want to talk some chat, I don't give a shit. And that's bullchatpod@gmail.com. So have an awesome one. Don't binge watch. Go outside. Fucking live a little bit today. All right, guys. Until next time, you can put this one in the books. Peace.